Jai Shriman Narayan. Jai Shriman Narayan. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagat Guru Sudarshan Acharyaji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I pay my obeisances to the Purva Acharyas. And I pay my obeisances to the 12 Alvas of the Sri Ramanuj Sampradaya. I welcome all of you tonight at our Thursday satsang, physically here at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those watching this discourse on live feed locally, nationally and internationally, and I welcome in advance those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted in the various groups from around the world. As promised, we're going to start. I've given you a background on Sunday, and today our discourse starts with creation. For any creation, there has to be a creator, and we're going to use analogies that might not synchronize 100% with absolute examples, but where the analogy fades away, then let it fade away and do not become technical in trying to reason with me the analogies that I'm giving you. So I'm using analogies so that we can slowly begin to understand. I've looked around and I tried to source information that may assist me in presenting this discourse on creation. As per Sanatana Dharma, Google had very little, and I could not source a whole lot of information. So I'm going to use the information that I have on hand together with the realizations awarded by my Guru, Swami Sudarshan Acharyaji Maharaj. It is through his grace that I've had the opportunity to piece together and connect the dots and fit in the missing puzzles so that I can present to you this creation. As stated in my previous discourses, Lord Sri Ramanuj is the supreme scientist in this Kali Yuga, the 28th Kali Yuga. Lord Sri Ramanuj is the supreme scientist, and it is stated that those that surrender to him fully, then he himself awards this supreme science to the respective devotees. So I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj in gracing me with this supreme science, so that today I can sit and give this discourse. And then I pay my obeisances to Lord Srimad Narayan himself, the creator of this universe that we are sitting or vibrating in, together with the millions of universes that's vibrating simultaneously with this one at this point in time. My attempt is to be in stages, and I want to explain creation as you bake a cake. I want to explain creation as you bake a cake. And I think this set of discourses, it is still within the parameters of the three gunas. And if I remember correctly, the question that was posed by a female when this question of the three gunas started in the groups and was forwarded to me for discussion from one of these international groups, there was this female that wanted to know from where does the three gunas emanate. And in attempting to answer this question, I think I spent about 12 discourses already on the three gunas. And it is after 12 discourses on the three gunas that I can now answer or start answering her question. So I said we're going to run this discourse together with analogies and common sense. We want to start with common sense. We want to synthesize material consciousness in understanding spiritual consciousness. And if we get that synthesis in balance, then we will be able to understand what and how this creation took place. So those of you that's present here in the satsang, you can stop me at any time if something is not clear, and I will answer and clarify. So let's begin on the creation of any aspect, anything that needs to be created. Okay, let's begin on the building of a house. Dana, where is the house built first? Foundation. Amita?
On paper first.
On?
Paper and architecture too.
Design
the house.
Where is the house built first? Piece of land.
Is it in the mind?
And Charles, where is the house built first?
In the mind.
In the mind. In the mind. The house is first built in the mind. It is conceived in the mind. In the mind of whom? The creator, the person that wants to build this house. So he will engage an architect, and he will tell the architect, I like my one bedroom here, the next bedroom there, the next bedroom there, the toilet here, the bathroom here, and my kitchen here. Isn't? So the creation of the house starts with a thought. The creation of a house starts with a thought, and the creation of anything in this material universe starts with a thought. You see? Can you think of anything that started with a thought? Nothing, you see? After you think, then the next step is Rishi, is plan. No, before you even plan, first you think, then you
plan.
You think it, then you will it. You think it, first you thought, I am going to build a house, then you willed it by engaging an architect and drawing the plan. Is it not so? First you thought, then you willed. Okay? What do you understand by the word eternal? Sorry? Everlasting. Okay. So if it's everlasting, can it be changed? It cannot be changed. Alright? Then we say, for every creation there has to be a creator. So for the creation of these universes, but let's use one universe, the one that we are currently residing in. Okay? And let us understand the creator. So if you thought of building a house and then you willed it, by willing it means that you had the capacity to have the house built. Is it not? Everyone can think of building a house, but by willing the house to be built, then you have to have capacity. So what would be the capacity?
With money.
The resources to have the ingredients of the house in all its aspects. So you have to have resources. No resources, you cannot will it. You can think it, but you cannot will it. To will it, you have to have all the resources. Is it not? Okay. So the creator of the universe, for him to will the universes and will creation means he have to have the resources. He has to have the resources. So these resources have to be latent in him. Does it not? These resources to create the universes have to be latent in the creator. Does it not? We're using logic. If you are willing to build your house, then the resources should be latent in your bank account. Is it not, Rishi? If you're willing to build a house, then the resources of the house should be latent in your bank account so that you can withdraw your money and get the resources for the house. So similarly, for the Creator to create the material universes, the resources have to be latent in the Creator itself. You understand it so far? So let us look in this material universe. What do you see, Rishi? Now, why are you smiling at Rishi? You give me the answer. Amita, what do you see?
Lots of things.
What do you don't see?
There's too many things.
Well, what you see? Sita? You got an opportunity to list all the things you see today.
I see lots of things.
Yes, we all know that, Sita.
I see the plants, the trees, all man-made things. I see the rivers, the lakes, the sea.
Okay, tell me which lake you saw. I'd like to go to that lake. I'm living in Durban. We are in Reservoir for 50 years now. Which lake did you see? Can you take me to that lake, Sita?
Sikau Lake.
Okay, Sikau Lake. Okay, so I'm not talking about pictures, Sita. I'm talking about physical. Let's break down what you see into two entities. Let's further break it down, Sita, into two. Charles was studying it. Wasim, you brought some sounds into this satsang. As soon as you landed, your employee is sounding like an ATM with no money in the ATM. Break it down into two. This universe comprises of two types of substances. What are these two types of substances? Sita, don't mumble to yourself, and you won't find it on Google. The millions of things we see, we want to break it down into two forms. What are the two forms we see in this universe that encapsulate everything else? Material and spiritual. What is material? Sorry?
Anything made up of the 5 elements.
Anything made of the 5 elements is material, and what you cannot see, but what gives proof, is consciousness. Anything that has consciousness is spiritual. So in this universe, there is a combination of spirit and matter. What happened, Dana? Lights came on. In this material universe, there is a combination of Charles, spirit and matter. Spirit and matter. Is it not? So we said for the Creator to create. Hey, wasn't you here? I couldn't see you. Lisa, why are you laughing at your boss, Lisa? Friday when you see ATM and the money is small, it means you laugh at boss in service. Alright? You laugh at boss in service. Then when you go, you put your card to withdraw, what you'll see? Less. Alright? So be careful, you don't laugh in the presence of the boss. When the boss is gone, you can laugh. Alright? Kishore, you enjoyed that one, Kishore? Okay, let's come back again. We said that when you need to will a house, you must have the resources, and the willing of the resources will be in a bank. You can withdraw your money from the bank and you can build a house. Alright? Now we're saying, if the Creator that created this universe, then the resources that is present in this universe must be latent in the Creator himself. Like how your finances, Robin, must be latent in your bank for you to create a house. Similarly, for the Creator to create this universe, and we did a small analysis of the universe and we found there's only two types. If you break down everything in the universe, there are of two types, material and spiritual. So both this material potency and spiritual potency must be latent in the Creator. Must be latent in the Creator. Okay? So, the very first process, and we also said the word eternal means it can never be changed. So we have to understand, because scientists are getting confused from this point. From this point, where they do not understand eternal. Scientists are not bringing the eternal factor when they are trying to understand creation. They are not bringing the eternal factor. So we want to set our mind in a chain of thoughts that will assist us in understanding creation. And we have to set our minds now, at this point. We have to have this clear understanding. Without the eternal factor, no understanding of creation can take place. No understanding of creation can take place. And I'm going to explain to you why. Again, we say eternal means happening all the time. So let's look at this flower. Can you see this flower, all of you? You all know the name of this flower? Fly away, what you said, Dana? Oh, Marigo. I thought you said the name of this flower was fly away. So if you look at this flower, again I'm saying my analogies might not fit perfectly or synchronize with the gist or the absoluteness of what I'm saying. You see the seed. This seed. I'm going to use this example a little later on, or maybe in other discourses. I don't know how much time I'm going to have. But you see the seed that came out of this flower that has over 50 seeds exactly like it, isn't? Once upon a time, the origin of manifestation of this flower was identical to this flower, this seed. Was it not? So before this flower was manifested, there was another seed exactly like this that manifested into this tree and gave birth to these many seeds. Was it not? Or did we take another seed and another flower and we got this flower or this seed? So it means what we have now happened before. This creation that's here now as the seed was the exact creation that was there before. And if we have to use this analogy, we will call it eternal. This same seed, as it grew and became a flower, and then became a seed again, and then if Rishi plants it, it will become a flower tree at his house. So the same thing is, the same creation of the same flower is taking place in the same manner as before. You understand? So for creation to be absolute, for this creation to be absolute, every time that the Creator creates, how he has to create. Vasudeva? We say creation is eternal. It is an eternal cycle. So, whenever God creates, how must he create? Or whenever the Creator creates, how will he create? How will he create? You see? I gave you the example of this petal.
From a blueprint, existing blueprint.
Existing blueprint. We said Sanatana Dharma is eternal. Eternal means it exists all the time. Then we said the Vedas is eternal. Then it means the Vedas exist all the time. Then we said God is eternal. Then God exists all the time. Then we said eternal means there can be no changes. Didn't we say eternal means there can be no changes? So the Vedas cannot be changed. And the Vedas is the blueprint for creation. So when the previous creation is dissolved, and when God creates again, how would He create? Robin? Kimlan? On exactly the same plan. On exactly the same plan. Does it make sense? Otherwise it's not eternal. Otherwise it's not absolute. For anything to be absolute, then the absoluteness must be retained and maintained. Is it not? Otherwise it is not absolute. Are you understanding so far? So God thought, let me be
Many.
In the Taitreya, Taitreya Upanishad, in the Taitreya Upanishad, in chapter 6, there is a verse, and the verse states, it thought, let me become many. It thought, let me become many. And who is this it? Who is this it?
God.
It's this Creator. And we said, for this Creator to create, the ingredients of creation must be latent in Him. Which means, in the point between dissolution and creation, where were all these universes? In the Creator. You understand? Before you built your house, where was the house, Robin? It was in your bank. The seed of your house was your money in the bank. It was latent in your bank. So the money compensated for the ingredients of your house. The money was the source of your house. It was in the bank. You had to barter with your money and get these ingredients. Unfortunately, the Supreme Personality of Godhead do not barter. Everything is inherent in Him. Are you understanding? So we said that this entire universe has two dimensions, material and spiritual. Then both this material and spiritual dimension had to be within the embodiment of the Creator. Are you getting the picture? Kimlan, you understanding? You, Bhai? You understanding? Right? So, the Upanishad states, one verse before this verse, in the Taitreya Upanishad, being alone was in the beginning. B-E-I-N-G. Being alone was in the beginning. That means before anything was created, it was only the Creator. Because being means, B-E-I-N-G means matter or spirit. Spirit. Being means a living entity, human being, living entity. So being, B-E-I-N-G, was alone in the beginning. It thought, let me become many. Alright? It thought, let me become many. Okay. Now, let us understand this being. Let us understand this being. Okay? What does spiritual mean? How can you measure spirituality? Nana? Kimlan, come sit this side. I can't see your face. I want to watch you. You're not hiding the Guru. What does spirituality mean? How do you measure spirituality? Sorry? Can't be measured. How do you recognize it? How would you recognize? I'm going to give you an example. Have you all seen a person that was once alive? And have you seen him when he's not alive, him or her? Have you seen that person? At which point that person was spiritual or spiritually animated? When he was alive. And when the spirit has left its body, then it was just the body with no animation. And then look around. What is not animated in this material universe? Is a bird animated? Is a tree animated? Yes? Is a cat animated? Is a mosquito animated? So it means there is spirit in these bodies to be animated. And that spirit is called consciousness. That spirit is called consciousness. Are you conscious? It means your consciousness is the symptom of your spiritual being. Your consciousness is the symptom of your spiritual being. Like the light, this brightness is the symptom of this light. As soon as you switch this light off, what will happen? Brightness will leave. Can you ever have light and darkness? So the symptom of light is no brightness. The symptom of light is brightness. Similarly, the symptom of the soul is consciousness. The symptom of the soul is consciousness. How far does your consciousness travel in your body?
Conscious of your entire body.
Right up to your finger? nails, into your fingernails. Even your fingernails is conscious. What it produces, Amita, fingernails. What does a fingernail produce?
Keratin.
Keratin. It can only produce keratin because it is conscious. It is animated. Is it not? Is it not? So this body is made out of 5 elements. This body here is made out of 5 elements. The 5 elements is space. Is this body taking up space? So it's made out of space. Has it got shape? What's giving it shape?
Matter.
Air. Prana is giving it shape. Has it got weight? Before weight, has it got heat? What's giving it heat? The element of fire. Has it got weight? What's keeping it grounded? Water. And what's keeping it solidified? Earth. Is it not? All these 5 elements are in this body. Are these elements material or spiritual? Material elements. But when the soul resides within these amalgamated elements, then what happens to the body? It becomes conscious. It becomes conscious. Alright? Now, individual souls in the material universe have contracted consciousness as per karma. Contracted consciousness as per karma. Look at Vasan's size and look at the size of a mosquito. How many mosquitoes can make a Vasan? What is the size of Vasan's soul and what is the size of the mosquito's soul? Say, 1/10,000, the size of the tip of your hair. That is the size of a soul. 1/10,000, the size of the tip of your hair. Which means, if you take the tip of your hair and you divide it by 10,000, then you take one part of the 10,000 part and divide it by 10,000 again, and then take that one part, and that is the size of the soul. So that soul fits in Vasan's humongous body, and it also fits in the miniature body of the mosquito. And there's a reason I'm saying this. Can you see the consciousness of Vasan's body? How far it has spread? And can you see the consciousness of the mosquito? How much it is contracted? Can you visualize? Look at Vasan and look at the mosquito. Consciousness contracted to a few millimeters, and Vasan quite a few centimeters. Meters, centimeters. Alright? Are you understanding? So can you see the size? Can you see consciousness itself is restricted by your karma? Consciousness is restricted by your karma. Vasan got a human body as dictated by his destiny, which is his karma, and the mosquito got a mosquito's body as it is its destiny dictated by its karma. So which means if you have karma, your consciousness is limited. And you see, Vasan got limited consciousness. Although he got a huge frame, compared to the mosquito, his consciousness is still limited, isn't? Is it not? Still limited. But in comparison to the mosquito, a trillion mosquitoes can take up Vasan's body. What a buzz. Vasan is an eater, those of you who do not know. What a buzz, I'm just thinking buzz. My room. Sleep easy? What's it? Peaceful sleep. I'll have to have tons of it. Okay? Now, if you do not have karma, then what you think will be the measure of consciousness. If you have karma, then your consciousness is finite as per your karma. If you do not have karma, then what will be your consciousness? Infinite. Does God have karma? No. Impossible for God to have karma. So God's consciousness will be infinite. The symptom of the soul is consciousness. Symptom of the soul is consciousness. And if the super soul, which is God, his consciousness is infinite, then it means it embraces the consciousness of God, embraces all that there is. Are you understanding? The consciousness of God embraces. Infinite means it cannot be measured. It means it is all encompassing. It is all encompassing. That means it is inconceivable to understand with this material mind at this point in time. But are you getting the picture? Alright? So we have three entities. We have the mosquito, then we have Vasan, and then we have the Lord. Are you getting the picture? Mosquito, consciousness, tumor, Vasan, couple thousand mils, and God, immeasurable. Have you got that picture? So, if something is the symptom, then it means it is connected directly to the substantive. So if the consciousness of the Supreme Lord encompasses everything because it is infinite, is there anything else beside the Lord? Can there be anything else beside the Lord? They can't. Alright? So from that point now, we're saying that the two main ingredients in the material universe is matter and spirit, and we saying this has to be latent in the creator. Matter and spirit have to be latent in this creator for the creator to create. For the creator to create. Which means that this spirit must be found within the embodiment of the consciousness of the Supreme Reality. Is it not? So all us individual souls that is currently existing in the material universe, which is also infinite, we have to exist in a portion of God during dissolution, isn't it? When this material creation is not there, and then it is created, it means it was created before it got dissolved. When it got dissolved, then in which dimension would both the material, these spirits, the spiritual souls that are living in the material universe now, they would have to be found in some dimension of the Supreme Lord. And matter, where you think this matter have to be residing?
In the Lord as well.
In the Lord as well. Which means that within the consciousness, within the spirituality of the Lord encompassing everything, there have to be a percentage of his consciousness wherein the spirit souls that take their birth in the material universe together with matter has to be latent. Is it not? So according to the Vedas, it is stated that 25% of the embodiment of God is where material creation takes place. And material creation takes place timelessly. It means it is created, it is maintained, and it is dissolved in an aspect of the consciousness of God that is 25%. There is another aspect of God that is 75%. In that, individual souls exist eternally. Exist eternally. Which means one dimension of God, the light go off. You want to call it load shedding? In 25% of the consciousness of God, there is load shedding, and the light comes on, the light goes off. The light comes on, the light goes off. On the other end, the light is on. Can you understand this? If you do not understand this, you're not going to understand creation. Because we're always looking for God where?
The sky.
Somewhere in the sky. He created this universe and is gone somewhere. Alright? Have you understood up until this point? What's the time? 22? Okay, we got another hour, Robin. Robin looking at his time all the time. That's why I asked Robin, what's the time? Because time, Robin, time is an energy of God. Alright? And let me explain time to Robin. Okay? So when this 25% is in this solution, that means there is no creation, then the Lord as a whole, as a infinite, inconceivable whole, consciousness extending everywhere, He thinks, let me be many. When He thinks, let me be many, relative to which part of Him? That 25%. That 25%. You understand? Because the 75% is eternally existing. So he do not have to think on that at all. It's there all the time. This side, where there's creation and dissolution, then God thinks, and this is why it is stated that being alone was in the beginning. Being alone was in the beginning. The word beginning tells you what?
There's an ending.
It's given you a frame, a time frame. It's given you a time frame, but it's not telling you that there was absolutely nothing in this world besides the Lord. It's not telling you that. It must not be misinterpreted. When the Upanishad is stating that being alone was in the beginning, it is relative to Kimlan, the material creation that is going to create again. Because the spiritual creation, God is eternal, He is existing all the time. His consciousness is pervading every millimeter of space, if we want to understand what space is. God pervades everything eternally, and that 75% of pervasion is happening continuously. Okay? Now it is difficult for the mind to understand eternality, because in the material world we know everything has to have a beginning, a middle and an end. So we might find it difficult to understand this concept because our mind is conditioned by time, Robin. Mind is conditioned by time. We understand everything timelessly. You understand? Now if you remove time, then everything will remain the same. Everything will remain the same. Which means the Vaikuntha planets is the same all the time. And when things are the same, there can be no change. And if there's no change, there is no beginning. Are you understanding? So when the Lord said, or when it is stated in the Taittiriya Upanishad, being alone was in the beginning, it is relative to that 25% of him where the material universes have dissolved into it. Okay? And then he thought, let me be many. Many for whose purposes? For those souls that are still entrapped in the material universes. So God wanted to become many to give another chance to the infinite souls that are entrapped in the 25% of his consciousness. In the 25% of his consciousness. Imlan, you get in the picture. You buy? You get in the picture. Alright? Just take it easy. Are there any questions? You have a question, Kimlan?
So, the 75% or 25% of souls that were wandering, it's because of karma that they need to...
The 25% now need to leave the prison. They need to leave the prison and go on to the 75% where there's absolute bliss.
And the reason why they're in prison is because of karma.
Of hate and desire. The soul, through hate and desire, alright, since time immemorial, gets entrapped in this 25%. Infinite souls here and infinite souls there. And this is the sport of the Lord. This is the sport of the Lord. And in any sport, there have to be
Players.
In every sport, there have to be players. And we are the players. We are the players. Okay? You think there's a reason that God set aside in the section in the Vedas based on creation? What do you think the reason would be?
To understand the rules of the game.
To understand the rules of the game. You understand? So, creation is not a secret. The Vedas is not a secret. It should be divulged to the world. Alright? So if you understand creation, then you will understand the reason why everyone in the universe is confused. And as long as confusion is taken out of you, then you start enjoying this universe. Because now you become in God's play, you become a participant. Okay? You become a knowing participant. Have you seen people in amnesia? Or you heard of people in amnesia? Robin, what does amnesia mean? Just colloquially, don't have to look into Google and see that. Amnesia means those that have lost their mind or memory. Yeah. So currently, people in the universe is playing and sporting with God, but with amnesia. With amnesia. So the job of the Guru is to tell you, continue playing the same game, but to remove the amnesia. And when you take out the amnesia, then you know the game, you know the rules, and you will know your destination. Otherwise, whilst you're in amnesia, you just continue playing the game and walking from one body to the next body, to the next body, to the next body. And we have already walked now through 155 trillion years just in this creation of the game. Sita, how many bodies you think you must have?
I wish I knew.
Okay. Those of you that want to remove this amnesia, and I give you a guarantee, Lord Sri Ramanuj will show you your past 100 lifetimes when you are fit to see it. Sita, if we just show you half of your previous lifetime, you might want to commit suicide. So it's not nice to know all your lifetimes up until you come to a point where you are strong to accept it. Because if there was a tragedy in this life, anyone suffered a tragedy in this life, what you do immediately after the tragedy? Person? You want to forget the tragedy, you want to believe it never happened, isn't it? Any tragedy that happened in this life, it is a natural impulse to try and forget that one tragedy. Alright? And we go through many tragedies in this one lifetime. Imagine knowing all your tragedies in 100 lifetimes. You understand? But to understand the game and to become a voluntary participant with God in this game. To become a voluntary. Now you are involuntary. You're still playing the game. You're still playing the game. You're sporting with God. But you are in amnesia. You don't know you're playing the game. Okay? Then we want to remove that amnesia and you continue playing the game. And when you play the game as a voluntary participant, then at the end of the game, you go to the creator of the game. You go back home. You go back home. Are there any questions? You buy? You sure? Chris, any questions? These were is in the other game. Is in the amnesia of the amnesia. Alright? I think he really was. He's thinking there's a big chop on Friday. Half salary. Okay, so we'll stop this discourse at this point and we'll continue on Sunday. No questions? Wasn't? No questions? Okay, Jai Shri Ramanuj.